Very good morning to everyone. In previous class, we have seen the stability concept and the different type of stabilities and their definitions. And in order to define the stability of any system, we must know the location of poles. So based on the location of poles, we will define the stability of the system, or we will decide where the stability, how the stability of that system will be. So those things and those conditions can be identified based on the location of the poles. And now in today's class, we will see where and how the poles can be located, and based on the location of the poles, how we can determine the stability of the system. Okay, in the third unit, first part, we are discussing with the Ruth Hurwitz concept and root locus concepts. So these concepts are under S domain, which is Laplace domain. So that's why we will use the S plane. So this S plane is having one y-axis and one x-axis, like this. So on the x-axis, the x-axis defines the real part and the y-axis defines the imaginary part. Y-axis determines the imaginary part and x-axis determines the real part. And this graph generally called as a S-plane. That's why the title of today's topic is location of poles on S-plane. So we need to locate the poles. First, we need to identify the poles, and then we need to locate the poles on this S-plane. From the location of the poles, we will define, or we will decide the stability of the system, how it will be. Okay. So this is positive plane, positive x-axis or positive real value, and here it is a negative x-axis or negative real value. And similarly, this is positive imaginary, and the bottom one is negative imaginary. We all know these positives and negatives, right? Right. So how to determine the poles? So the poles can be determined by the or based on the characteristic equation of the system. How we can determine, or how we can know the characteristic equation? We know how to calculate the transfer function. So here the M of S is nothing but the complete system transfer function. And we know the system transfer function can be written in terms of polynomial equation. So this is the numerator polynomial equation, and this one is the denominator polynomial equation. In terms of S powers, you can see here, here the S power is maximum S power is S power n, and in the numerator it is S power m. So two different polynomial equations will be there in the numerator and in the denominator. And we can also represent the same polynomial equation in terms of factorization. We can also convert this polynomial equation into the factorization in order to determine the zeros and poles of that given transfer function. So the numerator determines, or the numerator tells us or gives us the number of zeros and the values of those zeros. Z1, Z2. After factorization, we will get Z1, Z2, Z3 up to Zm. So all these Z1, Z2, Z3, all these are zeros of the system. And we need to determine the poles, right? So these poles can be calculated based on the characteristic equation. So you can see here, this equation, this polynomial equation is known as the characteristic equation. So the transfer function denominator is the characteristic equation. Okay, so this characteristic equation is factorized here, you can see here. And after the factorization, we can able to determine the poles P1, P2, P3, up to so on, Pn. We know how to do this factorization, and we know how to calculate these poles. We have come across all these concepts in the second unit itself. Okay, so from these poles, we know what is P1, what is P2, what is P3. And if we place P1, P2, P3 on this S plane, then it is very easy to determine the stability of the system. Okay, you can see here the factorization is made here. A1, A2, A3, all these are the factorization constants. So we have seen three different cases for the factorization in the second unit. So using any of those three cases, we can simply calculate and we can simply determine the poles. And if we locate the poles on the S plane, then we know how to determine the stability. So you can see here the first condition to determine the stability has been given here, which is if all the poles, if all the roots, nothing but the poles, if all the roots of characteristic equation, nothing but the poles, have negative real part. Negative real part means what? All the poles are having a real but negatives. So just now we have discussed the S plane, that this is positive real part and this is a negative real part, or simply we can call as this is positive half of S plane, and this is a negative half. And half means HLF half, right? So positive half of S plane and negative half. This is positive half of S plane and this is negative half of S plane. The condition here is if all the roots of characteristic equation have negative real parts, that means lying on the left half of S plane. That means on this part. If all the roots are lying on this part, then the impulse response is bounded. Don't mind what is impulse response is M of S. M of S or its Laplace inverse. Okay, if it is represented in S plane, we will say M of S, or if it is represented in time domain, we simply write as M of T. That is the impulse response, or simply the complete response of the system. We may talk. Okay, so the impulse response is bounded. That means the system is stable. The system is finite and stable. Very simply, I can say that if all the roots are having negative real parts or simply lying on the left half of the S plane, then that type of system is stable system. That type of system is stable system. If we are having four roots, all the four roots are real and a negative, then that system is stable. So that is the first condition based on the roots.